My name is Amir Khan, Sunni Muslim background. Why I left Islam? Three major issues. Main reason was the morality. For example, in Quran 4:34, it says to beat your wife. And second was the 12178, which says that if somebody kills your slave, you kill their slave. If somebody kills a female, you kill their female. The third is like the Quran 5:38, which says to cut off hands from thieves. Another one is where they say it's halal to have sex slaves and can have it, but it never condones it. And the second was, which was not actually my major issue with Islam, right? The scientific issues, because the book claims to be from written by God Himself. I think it ups to much more scrutiny than any other book out there. Like, it has errors, like I mentioned here, that there are two different verses, two different places where it allows cousin marriage, and on top of that, their own the model human being, according to this book given by God, also married his own cousin, first cousin. So what kind of example are you setting? Terrible. I mean, in Pakistan, that's what happens. A lot of people have, I've seen in from my eyes, like, so many people have genetic issues because of this main reason. So the third point is the history. Like, I cannot find any historical accuracy in Quran. For example, Kaaba, they say, is being like built by Abraham himself back in the days. But the thing is, there's no books I can find that actually talks about it, and that's just so the early manuscripts we found, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? It doesn't match with the text that we find. There is a big thing, they lie a lot, and I so dislike it. The biggest lie they do is, like, they say that Islam respects all the religions. So number one, it says this Sahih Muslim, which is 2167a. So do not greet Jews and Christians before they greet you. When you meet any one of them on the roads, force him to go to a narrowest part. Let's say for just for those people, then should say, do not do it to all of them. Just do it to these people who are mean. But then I read the explanation for it. It says here, Muslims were ordered to humiliate them. It says Al-Bukhari 2926. Oh, Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind you, so kill him. So number two is that Muslims did not have access to other scriptures. They say that there was a Christian girl living in his house who used to read Gospels in Arabic. There was a Christian who embraced Islam, and he used to write revelations for him. He went back to Christianity. He says, you're just copying what I'm telling you. You don't know yourself. And then the third lies they do is, like, they say that Muhammad didn't borrow anything from others. Muhammad would not have known it. But the thing is, here we go. In Sahih Muslim, he was talking about borrowing like information from Greeks and Persians. He followed it too. Not only he shared it, he actually followed it. And the fourth one is, they lie the most about, is that he did not know how to write. And then there's a Sahih Hadith where he himself is saying, bring me a paper and I will write a statement for you. That was the past. Now the present, why I joined Christianity. So first is the morality. God made man in his own image. I think that's the one of the most important messages out. It shows us that we should respect the human beings because they are image of God. And that's, I think that's one of the bases of Christianity. And the personal experience, I had dreams. I even had dreams when I was young. When I was in Pakistan, I used to have dreams about Jesus. And second experience is, we all Christians know that when you have Holy Spirit in you, you have this feeling of being alive. That I'm saying why I joined Christianity. Which then the history. There's a lot of historical evidence. The fact that Jesus was crucified was, historically accurate. Even the people who oppose it actually talks about it. And we found Dead Scrolls that actually confirm Old Testament, and Dead Scrolls were around like 300 BC at least. And early Christians followed Christianity the way it is today. And then there's evidence to the resurrection. People gave up their lives because of that evidence. So you can say it's strong enough that people give up their lives. People who had near death experiences, there are a lot of people, even Muslims, who experienced something similar, of seeing something that described the heaven of Bible, not the Quran. Nobody ever experienced 72 virgins. Yeah, and the third evidence is the impact on Western civilization. It was based on Christianity and how it transformed from all those barbaric people back in the days on it. So moral values of Christianity, they were against slavery. There are verses like Exodus 21:22, which says that you can only keep a slave for 6 years. Leviticus 25:39 tells people to not make slaves someone work as a slave. And Timothy 1:118 makes it sin to be a slave trade. And Corinthians 7:23 discourages people as God already paid the price, saying that, no, you cannot put a price on a human being. Philemon 16
Hmm.
discourages slavery, saying like instead of making slave, be friends. Yeah, Galatians 3:26 says that there is no slave. There's just, it says that there's no male, female, there's no slave or free man. There's everybody's one in Christ. Nice name. Christians were the first people in history to oppose slavery systematically. Early Christians purchased slaves in the market simply to set them free. Later, in the 7th century, blah blah blah, under the influence of his Christian queen, became the first kingdom in history to begin process of outlawing slavery. In 1200s, back in the days. And Thomas, who was also Christian Aquinas, declared slavery a sin. Then the second point is, when I'm talking about the moral values, it put much impact on the marriage. The church leaders should have one wife. Corinthians 7:1 says, Paul states a man is to have his own wife and not any other woman. A woman should have his own husband. And Proverbs says, an excellent wife who can find is more precious than jewels. So talking about wife is more precious than jewels. Ephesians says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And the human rights, which is, I think, really big. And Matthew 7:1 says, judge not that you be judged. Luke 7 says, again, same thing. Condemn not and you will be condemned, and forgive and we will be forgiven. I think these are really important because it kind of puts the human rights, other than the slavery itself, that, you forgive people. You don't take them as like your enemies or something. And then,
Hmm.
well, which it goes to John 18. Jesus protected a woman being condemned for infidelity. Everybody knows that. Mary, right? Magdalene. And Matthew say, love your enemies. This is really important too in Christian theology. And pray for those who persecute you. I'm comparing it to cutting hands of your thieves. Now, here it's more like you re educate them. You say, let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor. So it's for him, doing honest work with his own hands. He actually talks about hand as if he knew it, that the verse is coming. Share with anyone in need. He may have something to share with anyone, which is really important. Yes, that's really true. If somebody's thief, doesn't mean he's a terrible person. He could be doing it out of really necessity. You can teach him to not do it. Owen Chadwick says, History of Christianity, in his books, History of Christianity, say the teachings of Jesus, such as parable of Good Samaritan, are among the most important sources of modern notion of human rights and welfare commonly provided by governments in the West. So well-being shows, this is the evidence that we're looking for, that the countries that the Christianity actually had the big hold on and who actually practiced Christianity prospered. And the top countries on the bottom, which is like 91, is the Pakistan, where I'm from. Again, the percentage of world religions is, of course, this is an important point. Let me tell you why. See, Christianity is the biggest, and see, the Judaism is not even mentioned because it's so small. There's a reason behind it, because majority of Jews convert into Christians because they saw this is the right religion. Unlike
Hmm.
other type of religion that still is not, as big as, and it's been 2000 years since Christianity, and it still is big, right? And then after 600, Islam came. If it was a true religion, most people, just like they converted from Judaism to Christianity, would have converted from Christianity to Islam. It did not happen, and hopefully it doesn't happen. If it happens, then Jesus is coming back. My personal experience that I mentioned, again, I had dream and experience as a Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, everybody knows how it feels. History, that was the third point why I joined Christianity, is because of the history is so important. That Sea scrolls that God sent us to us matches to our, especially the one that my favorite verse is the Isaiah 9:6. I know if you read that one, where it
Hmm.
says that the son will be born and it will be mighty God. And who is this mighty God? And also it disproves Islam, because a lot of the stuff that's in the Old Testament doesn't work with Islam. The prophecies doesn't work. So it kind of, to me, is, this is something that was before Christianity. So during Christianity, whatever Christians had during the time of Jesus was this. And
Hmm.
history crucifixion is undoubtable. There has been proven. There's so many evidence, like people, historians, even non-Christian, Gerd something, Ludman. He said the consequence is indisputable. His crucifixion is indisputable. These are all atheists. They don't like Christianity. They're against Christianity, and they're saying this. And there's this guy Dominic Crossan. It say is Jesus was crucified is as sure as anything historically can ever be, since both Josephus and Tacitus agree with the Christian accounts on at least that basic fact. So his Jesus' crucifixion is undisputable. They're non-Christian, they're Jews who write about it. If it was not something that happened, or it was something like somebody else would replace, they would have known, they would have talked about it, that it wasn't like the right person. It says that one of the most certain fact of history is that Jesus was crucified of Roman perfect, because the thing is, the way it was done, it cannot be somebody else. It just doesn't happen. This is something you're just, again, you're pushing it. Another point of history hit, we found stories from Bible that was verified, like a house of David carved. The stone face is the expression house of David. This still affirms that united monarchy under King David existed in history. And the Misha stele, that's another thing we found, is from 800 BC. That's also was in Bible, but it refers to Yahweh on it, which is another thing. I'm saying this Yahweh is so important, because if Islam does not talk about Yahweh. And then we found this cylinder, again, really, really old stuff, right? Indeed, we can now understand the meaning of Daniel most precisely. Now it says, now if he can read the writing and make known to me his interpretation, you shall be clothed with purple and have change of gold, blah, blah, text. So another, this box, its discovery was made and shook biblical scholars and archaeologists alike. In the Peace Forest section of Jerusalem was discovered a burial cave containing 12, whatever the word is, one of them being now other than that of Caiaphas, the high priest who presided in the trial of Jesus. And then this stone found at Roman amphitheater rock, the scholarly road, the block which was once used as dedication stone of a nearby temple is now used for seating at the local amphitheater. Had an extraordinary inscription. It read Tiberian, whatever. Those scholars who question existence and the gospel accounts generally were silenced with this amazing discovery. Now, another big point is again, I mentioned it at the beginning, the evidence for resurrection, which is that there's a strong evidence. The tomb was found empty. There's a lot of records of people who claim that it was empty. The disciples of Jesus were taken off guard by his arrest, and that they spent, and also they were really scared. The disciples, they did not want to believe in it. They say it's all a lie. They were just going around trying to hide. Now the thing is, something happened that made them come out and accept it. Something happened, and they say we would die because we're not afraid anymore, because they believe in something that they did not believe in it, right? Which was a resurrection. I mean, that's a big evidence that why would somebody who was afraid to die, now all of a sudden Jesus was not resurrected, we would be probably either Jews or maybe Muslim, worst. And second one is the near death experience, the evidence. Now, I'm not saying by itself it's important. And other cultures, there were other cultures that reported the Jesus impact. For example, Babylonian Talmud, Josephus, which is a bit disputed, and Lucian, they all reported about Jesus. And the third point, which is no 1, 2, 3, 4 points, which I mentioned before too, the impact of Western society, which is really important because other religions do not provide any kind of evidence like this. The Western society has the best moral compass and human rights that's ever been seen in this world. Many of the Europe's universities were also founded by the church at that time. Many historians state that universities and cathedral schools were a continuation of the interest in learning promoted by monasteries. Now it is more about like the core theology of Christianity. People have freedom of speech. People have free will that God gave us all. So we can have different opinions. This is my opinion. For me, I'll go like the Old Testament. So reason why we even think, call Jesus Christ, it's not because, I mean, Jesus, God, not because we just want to, not because we're crazy, or because we're just making up. It is actually a story that you have to follow. If you read the Bible from Old Testament to New Testament, you will know why it is. So yeah, like it was prophesied that Jesus will come and save, because humans were going out of control, right? Child is born, to us son is given, the government will be on his shoulder, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Now in Isaiah 7:14, it says, "Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall be called Emmanuel," which means God among us. How do we even know God can actually come on earth, right? There's in Genesis 18:1, the Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees, whatever word it is. He willing to come on earth or not? That's the question. Not is he able to. Able is not even the question here. Is he willing to? And we know he's willing to, because he's done it before. So yeah, that was one thing. Like Lord appeared to Abraham, Yahweh appeared to Abraham and talked to him. Right now we found actually from other than these two, we also found this little script. It's called 4Q24C. It's been radiocarbon to 300 to 100 years before the Christ. So if you don't believe in Bible, okay, fine, don't believe in it. Even though it's like 300 1000 years old, okay. But then we even found this note, which actually talks about Son of God, and it's saying he will be called the Son of God, and we'll call him Son of the Most High, and also his son will be called the Great, and be designated his name. And these are like the texts we found. Now this is New Testament, and why you say why we I mention it, the prophecies that God will come, God will come on earth and be born of virgin. And now we have New Testament where Jesus is saying, I and Father are one. I mean, tell me any prophet or who says me, I and God are one. Like, who says that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you come across, then there are other things like but if I do not believe, then you work. Here it says, Father is in me and I in Father. Who says this? God is in me and I'm in God, right? I mean, I am in
Mm-hmm.
God, especially in this kind of like a weird statement of some human to say. And again, John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Like, so let me go to the next one. Mark, the Son of Man is the Lord. He called himself Lord here. Lord means Malik. So even Jesus called himself directly Lord. The Son of Man means man like, that's another thing. The wording is like a translation can be a little bit ambiguous to people. Son of Man, what the heck is that? Well, a literal meaning, what I read is like kind of like man like or human like. So God is coming in a human form. That's why it's called Son of Man. And again, he says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. This is actually the attribute of God. Like, I'm the start, I'm the end, I am, and who is and who's to come, and Almighty. I mean, Almighty. How clear can it be? Even when I was a Muslim, honestly, when I read Bible, I see, yes, Jesus does say it. Come on, you can, and nobody else can say these statements. Sorry, John said that. Now I actually messed up a little bit, but there was a whole verse where Isaiah prophesies that there will be a person like a prophet. So he was the prophet. John is the prophet. John is the messenger. John is the one who is the last prophet to come, who announces the coming of the Lord, coming of the
Mm-hmm.
God on earth. That's where it makes sense too, like why it would end here, because God is coming to the earth to for people. And again, so that same verse starts with, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began. Like if it's just a human being, tell me why, before the world began, what kind of glory, what kind of glory he had. Was he just sitting eating like food or what with God? Like, what is he even talking about? You have to explain it to me. Take me back to the formal glory, meaning he is God. He, at the moment, he's humble. He wants to, he will be back to being the Almighty. That in Genesis, these are the references to the Old Testament that happened later. So here, when Lord appeared to Abraham, that was in context to when Jesus said that your father Abraham rejoiced at the thought of seeing my day. He saw it and he was glad. Now, what kind of human being can meet Abraham? Like, it isn't. And actually, that's the reason why Jews, or why those Pharisees, they were so mad at him, not because of him claiming to be prophet, that him claiming to be God. They thought that was the biggest blasphemy, because there were so many people who were claiming prophethood, but Jesus said, "I'm God." Like, because they see, the here's a point: they did not punish John, right? They did not say, John, you're a criminal for claiming to be prophet. Think about it. Like, if John was claiming prophethood, he was not crucified, and Jesus came, and if, according to a lot of people, say he was just a prophet, right? If he just claimed prophet, why give him such a death, such a terrible death, right? It was really pain. It was designed to be excruciating pain. It was designed to be the one of the worst kind of punishment that there is, that you have seen. And then they were mad that, how can you have seen Abraham? Are you crazy? He said, before Abraham was born, I am. Now, I am here, it's not I am like this. It's a letters that actually represent Yahweh, which is the God's name, which actually I just showed. We found 300 or 500 BC, 800 BC actually, before Christ, it was written on a piece of stone, right? So that name has been continued, and Jesus is claiming that name to himself. All right. So, I mean, I explained actually the word Yahweh here. If you see that, where it came from, I am or I will be, the translation is the most adequate, but it's the name of the God in Bible that Jesus claimed.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Mm-hmm.
God himself is called Yahweh. I am. I think, like, for us, we say things like, um, I think, therefore I exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think for God to be like, I just exist, I don't even have to think. God just exists. God is, you know, it's
Right.
kind of like, for us to exist, we have to think. God doesn't have to do anything. He just exists. He's the very fabric of existence himself. And God said, we made man in our image. And also, we know God does not have an image. So what image he was talking about? He was talking about Jesus' image, which he, I don't know how it works, maybe designed it way ahead, but we were made in Jesus's image, which is, God's image to the world. 115, it says he's the images of the invisible God, right? So, if you want to, like, think of God, you can be like, I don't know how God looks like, I don't know. You can, and now you can relate to God. So yeah, now he says here, whoever seen me has seen the Father. Again, like, if you take one by one, you can criticize it, but then all together becomes a huge case that you cannot deny. And Christ, who is the image of God, Jesus says, who have seen me has seen the Father. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, so they were asking, say, hey, show us God. He say, you've seen me, you've seen the God, right? Yeah, here's another one. Yeah, so people say, like, how does it work? How can God be Jesus and God himself? First off, I don't know if most people have studied theory of special relativity. I studied a little bit in my college, right? Now, it's really complex, right? I mean, it shows you how, I actually played the video where the
Mm-hmm.
energy and mass are same things, but they are manifestation of same thing, which is, this is just a little bit of physical universe that we cannot understand. And you're trying to understand God. Like, this is blasphemy to me personally, to say I can understand God so easily. I mean, come on. First of all, if you cannot explain one part of God's doing, how can you? That's what Bible says, that you
Mm-hmm.
cannot understand the work of God, the Maker of all things. When it says all, it's crazy because we don't even know what is all. And also, it says in Psalms that he does whatever pleases him. So if he wants to communicate with people, he can. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. If he want to punish, he can. And and we know Christianity is the way it was back then by reading the early Christians, like Justin Martin, I mentioned it before, and they all mention Jesus is divine. So there's no way around it. If somebody comes here and says that Jesus was never claimed divinity, then, like, what is, like, even in 50 years people are believing it. So what happened? Like, his message was just so terrible that even one person couldn't understand it. What's the point of sending a quote unquote prophet just to create the world's largest religion for 2000 years? Yeah, anyways, so at the end of the day, the main point of all those verses is that Father is in me and I am in Father. That's the Jesus message. Father and I are one. They are same. Christians believe, like in Quran it says, Christians believe in three gods, like the Son, the Father, and Mother Mary, which is trash, because in Bible it says clearly The Lord is our God. Lord is one. God is one. It says in the Bible. Why would Christians not believe that? Why would not we believe in our own scriptures? So if Quran says this, the Quran is lying, not us, right? And if there is some sect, a small sect that does believe in something like this, it's not the way you talk to the whole group. You're not gonna go say it doesn't work like this. I mean, Ahmadis in Islamic sect, they believe that even Vedas, which is the Hindus books, are actually divine, right? And now we're gonna say all Muslims or Muslims believe that Vedas are divine, and you're gonna be like crazy. What are you talking about? Just a small sect believe in it. Exactly. So yeah, and I'm saying God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. He's present us all the time, which you cannot understand here. How can God be present with us all the time? And here it says, and do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares the Lord. And in Psalms, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee in your presence? I ascend to heaven, you're there. It's you're everywhere. God is everywhere. God exists in the very thread of the universe existence. God is existence. Coming as human in Jesus is not something crazy. It's not something extraordinary for God to do. He exists everywhere anyways. He's right now amongst us. So now I was trying to give an example of like how this idea kind of. So if you see there's an ocean right in front of you, and you take a glass and you pour a little bit water and put it in a glass, you're not going to say that this water in the glass is all of a sudden different than the water in ocean, right? They're both ocean. Even though you're able to contain it, it's still water is same altogether. So that's one of the example I would say. Like the water, the ocean is water. Ocean is water, glass is water. They're separate. You can even see in the glass, but it doesn't mean that it's different than the ocean water. Anyway, so my point is, so if some parent can use a puppet to talk to their children, and or a child, right? And it doesn't mean that the parent and the puppet are two different things. Anyway, so this is a bit more like a tinfoil hat stuff. So this is one of those numbers evidence like the Quran shows. I'm just trying to show that. I mean, anybody can make those kind of claims, that evidence. So this is not something to be taken seriously. It is, that's why I wrote tinfoil hat stuff, where you have like evidence about like some number is there, some word is there. So here, Trinity is found in nature, as if God is trying to communicate to us that Trinity can exist even on earth, right? So earth, we have sun, moon, and earth. They all are important for us. Like sun gives us energy, moon gives us tides, and earth is where we live in, so they impact our lives. And atom has proton, neutron, and electron. They're all, let's three particles, but they're three subatomic particles, and they make an atom. So one atom, three parts. States of matter. There are three states of matter: a solid, gaseous, and liquid. So see, Trinity exists in world. Like matter is one, but it can have three forms. Human being, even we have three aspects of us: a mind, body, and soul. So one person exists in mind, body, and soul. That makes one human. Colors, there are like three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. There are three secondary colors: orange, green, and violet. Whoa, amazing evidence. So yeah, space is made up of space is 3D, three-dimensional, which because of the thermodynamic quantity called Helmholtz free energy density. And time is hour, minute, and second. Amazing, isn't it? And like our dates, we have year, month, and days. A family consists of parent, child. Yeah, two parents, father, mother, and a child, or children. It makes a family: father, mother, children. And meaning of life, according to philosophy, is there are three meanings of life: distinguishing coherence, purpose, and significance. These three main. I read it in actually an article in psychology, and we require three main things: food, water, and air. And list goes on. I have a huge list of this tinfoil head stuff, but I'm not gonna mention it. Is just to mock the people. No, no mocking, but just to tell, like, dude, these are not the type of thing that you should go for. These are something that we just feel that this is something. When we see in a cloud, we can see a face. It does not mean there's a face there. So yeah, with all that presentation, this is my favorite verse from Bible, which is: love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, It does not dishonor others. It is not self seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails. I think that was my, like, even when I was Muslim, I actually read it online somewhere and I fell in love with this verse. I used to use it without knowing that it's from the Bible. I thought this is one of the most perfect way to explain what love is. So yeah, and with that, this is the end of my presentation.